On the 25th of April, the MFA announced that the people should remain at home because they feared armed confrontations on the street. But the Portuguese population clearly disobeyed the military orders to stay at home because the thirst for freedom overcame all fears. And so people took the streets to the thousands and supported the military coup to force the resignation of the leader of the regime. The people brought red carnations and distributed them to the soldiers, who stuck them in their rifle barrels, making the flower the symbol of the revolution. The revolutionary process of 74 and 75 was one of the liveliest experiences in Portuguese history. In 19 months, there were 2 failed coups, 6 provisional governments, the process of independence of the colony, several mass strike waves, demonstrations, occupations of thousands of houses, a profound agricultural reform, occupations of land, the creation of workers' cooperatives, workers' councils, trade unions, neighborhood commissions, self-managed factories, businesses, offices, newspapers, and radios. Because the thirst for freedom overcame all fears.
A timeless message. I can't get enough of that. That is Catarina Principe from a documentary about the impact, the latter impact of the Carnation Revolution that, of course, happened on this day in 1974. Filomena is backstage with the red carnation. Are you ready to join me on screen, Filomena? I wonder if you could wave to me. Sorry, I had something in the way. Can I have a thumbs up for you if you're ready to join me? She's ready to join me. This is fabulous. Thank you so much. I feel a little bit underdressed without a red carnation myself this evening. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Olá, boa noite a todos. How are you?
Yeah, very well. So I'm so looking forward to this. It's very good of you to have contacted your friends, Helena and Carlos Lourenco and Helena Duarte, to have first-hand experience of being around on the 25th of April, 1974. I understand we're struggling a little bit to connect with Carlos. We'll see what happens.
Yes, Carlos is trying to enter the studio, but I don't know if he will be able to, but sure. We'll see. We hope so.
Well, it's quite poignant, really, isn't it? The radio played quite an important part in the revolution, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Let's hope he can enter the studio.
It was very, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, and we recounted some of the story, and stories as an undervaluing. I'm not happy to use story in the sense of a historical fact. But we spoke of the Carnation Revolution this morning on this morning's show. It's well worth watching that and catching up on the facts and the scene, the setting of what happened 49 years ago today. And this evening, slightly different. We're going to talk more to people who were there and remember it. You were, of course, not even born then, were you, Filomena? It's not a memory for you, is it?
Well, I was. Thank you very much, but I was.
Right. Well, I
was attending primary school.
Were you? So you probably had a day off. Am I right in thinking?
Well, the news were not so quick as they are now, right?
Oh,
so
of course, yes.
we are in a little bit in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So news didn't run as fast as they do nowadays. So we've heard that something had happened in Lisbon, but yes. it was not immediately.
You make a really good point, because I'm just transferring my current news mindset to
you thought that on YouTube everybody would know.
Exactly. Yeah, people with their mobile phones taking pictures
on Facebook saying we are having a revolution now.
That's right. There's not even a red carnation emoji now, let alone back in 1974. So yes, of course, you'd have been listening to the radio. There may have been some TV coverage, but I know those stations and the broadcasting networks would have been part of the. Sorry, go on.
Can I just answer a phone call from?
I will let you do that, and I will. I'll talk to everyone who's lined up to hear our conversation with Carlos and with Helena, who'll be joining us a little bit later on. I think as well we might have Senor Mota who might join us on the screen tonight as well. If you'd like to do that, Oriko, then please do. And I can at least ask you how to pronounce. You can tell me how to pronounce your name correctly, which would be a great step in the right direction for me, and I'd feel so much better about that. We have hello everyone. Lord Gilchrist, standard greeting for everybody who's here to hear about the first person testimony of being around at that time, with fingers crossed from Carlos and Helena. Botard from Ohio, from Tom Smith, who would, I should say, normally you'd be tuned in an hour's time to the Hello America, This is Portugal show. But this is a very special day, obviously, in Portuguese history. And we were able to ask our guests to join us on the condition it was a bit earlier, so 8 o'clock start this evening. Owen's here. Beautiful job this morning, Owen. You're on our screen this morning, and penned a wonderful poem inspired by the Carnation Revolution, and an Ola from Pontelima from you this evening. Ola my booties from Mrs. M. Elsewhere in this house that I find myself in this evening, and love to Filomena. He's the man who sings the Filomena Friday theme tune, of course, Owen. And Carl, yes, on this matter of stories and history, same word for history and story is used in Portuguese, French, Spanish, and German. That's interesting. Thank you. I suppose my discomfort, Tom, is how people refer to articles, what used to be called news articles, as stories. You know, you see people on rolling breaking news coverage saying, "We'll go to that story now," and to me, it makes it sound like it's a fable, or which I guess, you know, everything is a story in a sense, but when there's a gravity of personal experience, and this is happening to human beings, it just seems a little bit awkward to me that it's called a story. But then again, it is, isn't it? It is the editor and the reporter's story of what happened. So I understand it from that point of view. But I just feels a little bit of a diminishment, if that's even a word, of what people's actual experience is. That's my discomfort with that. Thank you, though, Tom, for that. Chris Smith, Botard from Tacoma, Washington. Hi, Chris, and Nubianet's in as well. Hola, y'all from California. Well, we have Filomena organizing our first guest this evening, Carlos Lourenco. Hopefully we'll be able to get him on the screen in a little while. Joao Denort here as well. Little Tintin is watching too. That's the cat, isn't it? Cat, formerly Catface. Now Tintin McTinty. Is that your cat's full name, John? Good to see you here, and let's hang out for the after show party with you as well as the other Portugal Club members who are backstage at the moment as well, who can chip in any time with questions. If we do get any guests, that is. Tony Robbins is here. Hola, bon night. Hello to you, Tony Robbins. Great to have you here. And what I'll do whilst we're waiting is just have a look at some of the English-speaking news coverage. We looked at the Portugal news coverage this morning, didn't we, on the morning show? And I do recommend watching that again. It was good to have the company of Bruce Joffe of Portugal Living magazine this morning, and we did talk about the Carnation Revolution from a more of a historical, factual perspective. Tonight, it hopefully will be first-person testimony, the memories of people who were actually there. Looking now at the Portugal resident. Now, this is interesting. Because I did allude to this. There's a fine balance to be struck here between, I think, honouring what's really special about the Carnation Revolution and how it's an example of a near bloodless coup. I believe 4 or 5 people were killed in the revolution on this day in 74. And of course, each of those lives precious and tragic to be lost on this day. And at the same time, relatively a small number and little bloodshed as far as these tumultuous events go in human history. And quite the thing to move from a dictatorship into a democracy, not without its teething troubles, of course, in the following years. And we'll probably hear more about that from Carlos and Helena and Filomena as well. But I think an amazing example of how when the people of Portugal saw the soldiers on the streets, their brothers in the army, brothers in arms, literally, they were moved to put carnations in the barrels of the guns, and the people and the army came together to overthrow a regime that they no longer wanted to be a part of or under, basically. And there we were, moving from dictatorship into democracy. And what an amazing example, what an incredible inspiration to other people, other countries who might find themselves in this position, and can take some inspiration from that. Wherever oppression or dictatorship rears its ugly head, that we can move relatively peacefully from that state of oppression into one of more freedom. And that said, where I started with this little ramble, is that it's 49 years since that happened, and we are in a new political age for Portugal. As you can see here, in the Portugal Resident Parliament celebrates 49 years since April 25th revolution. And we have had President Lula of Brazil here, which has brought extra political controversy to the scene as well. And the way it's positioned here, I'm going to bring you back onto the screen, Filomena, so you can join us. The way it's been positioned in this particular news article, I won't say story, is that the celebrations are happening amid a rising tide of protests. So there is political unrest, uncertainty still in Portugal, certainly not of the scale that was that caused the Carnation Revolution, but still, it's quite poignant, is it not, to have this mirror, this historical mirror, being held up to take a look at, do a quick check on what's going on currently in Portuguese politics as well. And it's not the rosiest of pictures. Thank you very much, David Wesley. Great show. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Aviva Ocean Dweller. I look forward to learning more about the history of Portugal. You will tonight, and looking forward to Lena's recollections of 1974. So we've already said she was at primary school and may have had a day off. This is what Antonio F. was saying this morning, Filomena, that he remembers having a few days off from primary school. The school was closed, which must have been so exciting when you're little like that, not quite knowing why, but a few days off school. And the parents, all the adults, the aunties and uncles, grandma and granddad, very excited about what's going on in the country. How are we doing with Carlos? Is he able to make a connection?
I don't think so. I'm sorry, but he's calling again. I'm sorry. He says that he can't, when he clicks on the link, and then he doesn't know what to do next. But
bless. Okay, well,
but I'll try to help again. Okay, sorry.
All right, my other suggestion is Google Chrome. Google Chrome is a good way to connect. Probably the most advantageous for StreamYard, the platform we use. Boa tarde, Filomena from Jean Jackson, and thank you everybody for being here this evening. I did ask the question this morning, what were you doing in 1974 whilst Portugal was having its Carnation Revolution? Where were you and what were you up to? We've got Helena Duarte who's joining us now as well. So Helena will be here in just a minute to talk to us when Filomena's finished talking with Carlos. Maybe we'll have a full house. Who knows if he can make the connection. Yeah, but what were you up to in 1974? Again, so some of you obviously were very little children or not even born at the time. Some of you may have memories of what you were doing in the United States of America. Was it even reported in the United States of America? I was alive. I was 9 years of age in 1974, but I don't remember any news coverage about anything in particular, except World Cups and Men on the Moon and that sort of thing. But certainly not the Carnation Revolution here in Portugal. It took me several more decades to find out about the inspiring event of the Carnation Revolution, and truly inspired I am by what's gone on here in Portugal, or what went on, and that legacy that comes from the 25th of April 1974. So let us know, what were you doing in 1974? And more to the point, given that the threat of dictatorship, warmongers, fearmongers, powermongers don't ever seem to be very far away from us. What are your hopes for 49 years from now? What sort of world would you like to see? What sort of shape would you like to see Portugal in, as somebody who's making their home here? For the children, for the grandchildren, and for the world as a whole? What's your vision for the world in, let's say, 2072? So yes, that does seem like science fiction, doesn't it? 2072, but only 49 years away. I was 8, says Nubianette. I was playing kickball and watching TV. A simple life, simple time for us when we were kids in those days, wasn't it? It just seems like, if you are 8 now, your life would be a little bit more complicated. If you are 8 now, your life is more complicated than just playing kickball and watching TV, although watching TV is still part of it, albeit YouTube and Roblox and those sorts of things. I was attending Parsons School of Design College in 1974. That was Aviva. I hope everyone's enjoying this, being taken back 49 years. But there you were so long ago. Wow. Helena, Duarte, would you mind being on the screen with me? Are you happy to join me on the screen, or would you prefer to wait for... Okay, let's bring Helena on. Olá, boa noite, muito prazer.
Hello.
And muito obrigado for being
How
here. I'm really well. I'm so delighted and honoured that you have offered to join us this evening.
I asked Filomena to translate because I speak a little bit, but my English is so poor to talk about things so different and so particular. I asked Filomena be with us and translate my opinions if you
absolutely yes. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot or alarm you in any way by putting your... Filomena is here. She is just talking with Carlos, who may join us as well. So she is not only translator tonight, she's also tech support, and she's helping Carlos onto the screen, hopefully. Can I ask, I mean, certainly for the more technical things and those memories from 1974, it may be very helpful to have Filomena here. Can I ask you, where do you live in Portugal now? Where are you now?
At 74, I was 22 years. 22, yes, 22, 23, 22, yes, 22. So I was in the university. You are in that it's very difficult to me to talk.
Okay, all right, okay. I really don't want to put you under any stress. So Filomena
is there now.
She is here. She's just helping Carlos at the moment. So stay right where you are, Helena. We are talking to people about where they were in 74. This lady here, Luisa, who we call Mrs. M, she was in her mummy's tummy when you were at university there. And the Portuguese people must be so proud to have had such a peaceful revolution. Well, absolutely.
Yes, it was our life was not very good because we had war in our colonies. And it is very difficult to we are not politicized.
Yes.
No, we don't know. Even in the university, we didn't know about politics. Few of us, yes, because they belong to some ideologies, but the other students we didn't know about politics. We know in that time that our men, our young men, our old men who went to the war.
Yes. Yeah. To fight these colonial wars.
Yes, colonial war. And this is the I don't know how to say, but it is the thing we feel.
Yes.
We feel because they went to Angola, Moçambique, Guiné-Bissau, São Tomé e Príncipe, Cabo Verde, Timor.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I would. Hello, Helena. I just would like to ask Carl. Was Carlos able to enter the studio or not? Can you see him or not, Carl?
Didn't see him. No.
No.
No
Because
sign.
I was trying to guide him as much as possible, but I think he can't follow the steps to get into the studio. I don't know.
Oh, what a shame! What a shame.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if
It was easy, wasn't it, Helena? It was easy.
No, it was not easy. I need you, Filomena.
No, I mean to access the studio. The studio.
Oh yes, it was very easy.
Yes, but
for me, because porque
yes.
eu já tinha feito isto, né, com o ginásio.
Yes, but it seems that for Carlos it's very, very complicated and he can't figure out where.
Filomena, ouve, aviso. Será naquele passo em que ele tem que pôr o nome? É que não deixa avançar.
Não deixa avançar sem pôr o nome?
Não. Porque eu esqueci, mas não vi. E apareceu-me logo a vermelho. Eu tive que ir pôr o nome para conseguir entrar.
Só ligando para ele novamente. Okay, give me one more second, Carlitos.
Sure. Okay, this is being enjoyed as we are. So I think we have some of your friends here, Helena. We've got Tony Robbins, who's saying, "Hola, Helena, good to see you." Tony and Teresa.
Hola, Tony. How are you?
Jean Jackson as well. Hola, Helena. Very pleased to see you tonight as well. So another friend, perhaps, Jean.
Hola.
And some other reports of what people were doing in 1974. I was 3 in 1974, so I don't remember much from that period. Oh, we've got Carlos here now. Isn't that fantastic? Filomena, we do have Filomena, we have Carlos.
Okay,
look at this. How amazing.
Yeah! Yeah!
Here we are.
Okay, Olá, Sr. Carlos, bem-vindo.
Olá, boa noite, tudo bem?
Olá, Senhor Carlos. Muito prazer, muito obrigado.
O prazer é meu.
So I have to translate everything for him because he doesn't speak English, okay?
Absolutely fine. Yeah. Now, what I was hoping to do...
Eu depois vou traduzindo, tá bem, Sr. Carlos? Não se preocupe.
Okay.
Right. So what would be great would be to learn, respectively, from Helena and from Carlos, what it was like in the period before, and then if we could talk after that, you know, the growing up, the being around pre-1974. Then what it was like in the days before and on the day, and then obviously what's happened in the subsequent years. So first of all, I wonder if we could start with Helena in what life was like running
Helena,
up.
Queres falar em português ou em inglês, Helena? Helena? I think we lost the contact with Helena.
Oh, she's muted herself.
She's mute, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, maybe I can translate for Carlos.
Yes.
Sr. Carlos, a pergunta era agora como é que era a vida antes do 25 de Abril e depois, por exemplo, os dias que antecederam a Revolução, se notou alguma diferença ou o que é que acha pronto, da sua vivência antes do 25 de Abril e depois, alguns dias depois?
Foi extraordinário, efetivamente, quando foi o 25 de Abril, a alegria do povo foi realmente impressionante. Mas,
so he says that deixa-me traduzir, Sr. Carlos. So he says that it was incredible, it was very impressive. He says the joy of everybody was so happy on that day. Pode continuar, Sr. Carlos.
I got alegria do povo.
Alegria do povo, yes.
Mas conforme essa alegria a modificação no âmbito de trabalho continua na mesma. Nós pouca diferença encontramos da situação anterior para a situação atual, a situação da democracia, não notamos diferença alguma.
Não notaram diferença em relação ao trabalho? Ao trabalho?
Não notamos diferença nenhuma, continuamos trabalhando normalmente. Só que...
So he says that in relation to work, he didn't notice a lot of difference. So he just went on, he carried on working as he used to. So he says he didn't notice a lot of difference in terms of work.
Oh, I see. Okay. And what was life like before? I mean, people wanted clearly to overthrow the dictatorship and have a democracy. What was daily life like for people in, let's say, the 10 years running up?
Sr. Carlos, Sr. Carlos, portanto, a pergunta é como é que era a vida antes? Porque se as pessoas quiseram a revolução, porque é que as pessoas quiseram a revolução, não é?
Olha, eu com sinceridade, nós tínhamos uma vida, eu pelo menos que trabalhava em Coimbra, lá na oficina, nós não notávamos nada, nós nem sabíamos sequer que estávamos numa ditadura, não é? Porque essas informações nunca nos chegavam. Nós vivemos na ditadura como se vivemos hoje naturalmente. E essas coisas da política anterior ao 25 de Abril passavam-nos sempre ao lado. Nada era divulgado cá para fora. Nós, o 25 de Abril foi um abrir de olhos, foi uma coisa que nos apareceu assim de repente, que a gente não sabíamos efetivamente, pelo menos como eu, as pessoas menos esclarecidas, que havia outro tipo de sociedade.
So he says that he was not very aware of the dictatorship because he said that they were very, they didn't even know that there could be another kind of society, he says. And so it was a bit, for him personally, it was... I think we got Helena now. We got Helena back.
Oh, no? Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you, Helena, but you can't hear us, I think.
You can't hear us.
we can hear her.
We have a very difficult program tonight.
We'll get there in the end, I'm sure of that.
Não está.
We can hear you.
We can hear you, Helena. Helena, we can hear you.
O microfone está ligado, está tudo ligado, não sei.
I'm going to mute her up. I'm sure she's not going to swear, but I'll just mute her just in case she does. So that's really interesting with Carlos, Senor Lourenco, is that, of course, it was just normal life. It was his everyday life.
Yes, he says it was their normal life, and they were not. Of course, he was young, and they were. He says they were not very aware of the situation. They just worked, and that was all.
Yes. And of course, men, I think of Senor Lourenco's age at that time would have had to go to do national service and perhaps be in the army.
Sr. Lourenco, a pergunta é, tinha que fazer o serviço militar, não é?
Evidente. Pois fomos e bem nos custou, fomos obrigados, e eu com muita dificuldade, porque tinha outro irmão que também lá estava.
So he says yes, they were forced to go, and he went with. Well, it was hard for him to go because he also had another brother there. So a brother was also there. So the two brothers had to go to Africa. Esteve em Angola, Sr. Lourenco?
Estive em Angola.
Yeah, he was in Angola.
Okay, and then the Carnation Revolution happens. The men are called back from...
E depois da Revolução, no dia da Revolução ainda estava em África, nessa altura, Sr. Lourenco?
Não, já estava em Portugal, já tinha chegado a Portugal há 2 anos.
So when the revolution happened, he had returned. He had been in Portugal for 2 years when the revolution happened.
Oh, okay. Incredible. And then how long did it take? I mean, we heard from, maybe we should see if Helena can hear us now. Helena, can you hear us?
I don't think so. Helena, can you hear us?
We could actually have her on a telephone. Would be one option. We can ring her up. We're not hearing you. Well, we are hearing you, but you're not hearing us here, Helena.
Maybe trying to get into the studio again. I don't know.
That's what I suggested, and it was a slight improvement. So maybe, sai daí voltar.
Helena, but she can't hear.
No, indeed.
Maybe with a sign.
I wrote it in my best Portuguese inside the chat here. She's going to try.
You can write. Tenta entrar novamente no.
Entrar novamente.
Entrar novamente no estúdio.
Yes. Better than my saída e voltar, Helena.
O Lourenco não é o único a ter problemas. A professora Helena agora também não consegue ouvir-nos.
So, Senhor Carlos, we heard of the joy of the people, of course, on the 25th of April, 1974. How long was it then? Although life stayed quite similar, Carlos seemed to suggest. How long did it take before changes came? Because it wasn't easy, was it? There was further failed coups, weren't there, and difficulties, workers taking over companies and so on.
Sr. Lourenco, agora a pergunta era quanto tempo é que levou as alterações, digamos, porque o Sr. Lourenco disse que não houve muitas mudanças, entretanto, que não houve muitas mudanças, mas notou algumas alterações passado algum tempo ou não?
Não, com sinceridade, parece que com o tempo foi decorrendo e ficou tudo na mesma. Poucas alterações houve. A liberdade, o que é que nos trouxe? Ao fim e ao cabo, nós já fazíamos a mesma coisa. Nós não tivemos, ao fim e ao cabo, a liberdade. Foi uma coisa que não nos afetou nada. Aquilo a gente já estávamos habituados à maneira de viver, e a maneira de viver continua na mesma, como se nada tivesse acontecido.
Okay, so that's his opinion. He says that not a lot of changes happened in his life, at least in his life. Not many changes happened. And can we speak to Helena now, maybe? Helena?
See. Oh, let's.
She's mute again. Oh, I don't believe it.
We've had every combination. She could hear us, and we couldn't hear her. Then we could hear her, and she couldn't hear us.
But she's muted. She's muted again.
There is only one more combination. That is to have everybody.
Everyone muted.
Not that. But we don't want that combination. So, Helena, please try unmuting yourself again. And let's see if we can speak.
Oh, Helena, estás sem som, Helena. Está aí o símbolo que estás sem som. Tens que ativar o som.
Yeah, I'm trying to. She's frozen as well. Look at that. Unless she's
frozen.
She's massaging her temples.
It seems that she has a trophy.
That's right. But I think if we unmute now, we might be.
She's still muted. Desculpa lá, Sr. Lourenco, é que nós também temos aqui problemas aqui com a professora Helena que não tem som.
Esses problemas há em todo lado.
Estamos com problemas até mais não acabar.
Well, we're hearing problems in Portuguese, which is entertaining.
Muitos problemas
tonight. Helena, let's try you one more time. You able to unmute for us at your end? I think possibly in the Algarve there. No. So let's carry on talking to Senor Carlos, because that's so fascinating. What part of the country was Senor Carlos in at this time, where really life didn't change very much?
Well, he was in the Coimbra area.
Coimbra. Okay.
Yeah, Coimbra area.
In the city or out in the countryside?
Sr. Lourenco, nessa altura estava onde? Em Miranda?
Não, trabalhava em Coimbra, numa oficina onde trabalhávamos 200 empregados, 200 e tal empregados.
So he's a car mechanic, and he was working in a workshop in Coimbra. Yeah. There were 200 employees there, 200 mechanics.
And life went on pretty much as it was
according to his opinion, life went on. Yeah.
Right, and Senor Lourenco, for the future, because this is an interesting time, isn't it? It seems quite a few Portuguese people aren't very happy with the government at the moment, and this is part of a global picture, of course, as well, isn't it? It's not just what's going on in Portugal. But what does Senor Carlos think about this? The Carnation Revolution, the great historical moment, and comparing that with the politicians of today, for example.
Sr. Lourenco, a pergunta agora é, visto que hoje em dia há muitas pessoas, há muitas greves, há muita gente que não está satisfeita também com a situação política atual, se acha que o que é que... Como é que pode comparar as duas situações? O que é que acha
Na altura também entrei em várias manifestações. Logo após o 25 de Abril também fizemos grandes manifestações aí em Coimbra, em reivindicações de trabalho, e algumas foram bem sucedidas, mas também houve apoios contras que a seguir vieram, porque até então, antes do 25 de Abril, nós trabalhávamos todos como se fôssemos uma família, embora tivesse lá os problemas da ditadura, éramos uma família. Após o 25 de Abril, houve uma desunião total entre os trabalhadores, por causa dos partidos políticos. Uns foram para a direita, outros foram para a esquerda, e outros foram lamber as botas aos patrões, e a partir daí gerou-se uma confusão terrível, e nunca mais houve a verdadeira amizade entre os colegas.
Ok, deixe-me então agora fazer aí um resumo disso. So he says that before the revolution, they were like a family, because of course there were no political parties, so they were like one big family. And after the revolution, he says that he also participated in some demonstrations in Coimbra. And he says that after the revolution, what he noticed that they started to split into different political parties, so some to the right, some to the left, and so he considers that it was not as a group as it was before, but they started to be split into different political views because the political party started then.
Of course, that's fascinating. That is what a fascinating.
Do we have Helena now?
I think we do.
I don't think so.
How
again?
We still can't hear you, Helena. What a shame! What a shame! Because I'd love to hear.
But she was speaking at first. She was speaking.
It was going so well at the beginning.
Yeah,
let's see if she can go into the settings perhaps and fiddle about with the choice of microphone.
Helena, consegues ouvir-nos? Não consegues ouvir-nos?
What a shame. Now, if you can send me by WhatsApp her telephone number, I'll give her a call.
Okay.
And then we can speak to her via telephone, which will be fine. In the meantime, we've got some really interesting contributions as well from our audience tonight. You're doing very well, audience, as well, coping with translation and technical difficulties this evening. So thank you for bearing with us. In 1974 in Washington, of course, it was the Watergate scandal. So the US media was pretty distracted by that. João de Norte was 10 years old in 74, enjoying Saturday morning cartoons and the Flintstones in Gilligan's Island. Carefree, not careless, but carefree. Our friend Carlos in Porto told us that after the revolution, the whole city partied without abandon for 3 years. Does Senor Carlos here of Lourenco remember partying for 3 years?
Está aqui alguém a dizer que no Porto que festejaram durante 3 anos. O Sr. Carlos lembra-se de ter festejado alguma coisa relativamente à democracia?
Opa, eu ainda fui a 2 ou 3 manifestações logo após uns 3 anos, pelo menos, uns 3 anos a seguir. Ainda fui às manifestações do 1º de Maio, a Coimbra, mas a partir daí isso começou a alegria dessas coisas começou a desaparecer, porque vi que não valia a pena, que era tudo a mesma coisa.
Okay, so he said that for the first 3 years, he says, he participated in some demos, some demonstration, but then he stopped doing that because in his opinion it was everything the same. So
Waste of time.
So
Yeah.
it was a waste of time,
Understood,
according to him. Yeah.
Michael Whitby, boa noite a todos from Ancourt in Washington, as the aforementioned. If you can hear us, Helena, Tony's very well. Tony and Teresa are very well. And Joe Jackson, pleased to see you as well. Tony Madeiros is in. Bom dia from Boston. Feliz dia de 25 de abril. In 1974, he says he was 10 years old. My dad and entire family were big supporters of the revolution. And our friend Isabella says João de Norte was 12 at the time at the revolution, and her main memory was how chaotic it was in the years following 74. It was a primary reason her family relocated to the US. That's interesting. So does Carlos remember people leaving the country because it was so chaotic?
Sr. Carlos, está aqui alguém a dizer que se lembra depois de 74 que houve um período bastante caótico e que, por exemplo, foi uma das razões que levou uma família a voltar para ir para os Estados Unidos. Lembra-se, a pergunta agora lembra-se de, depois da Revolução, pessoas irem para outros países por causa da situação mais caótica em Portugal? Ou não? Oi, agora ficou sem som. Agora foi
Let's get him back on. Can we do
agora
that again?
Consegue me ouvir, Sr. Lourenço?
Consigo.
Sim, agora já está bom agora. Agora pode falar.
Bem.
Sim.
Eu não notei que tenha acontecido tal coisa, mas pode ter havido casos isolados que tenham acontecido isso. De resto, embora começasse a haver perseguição por causa disso dos partidos, que as pessoas nunca mais foram as mesmas, começaram a olhar porque uma pertencia a um partido, outro pertencia a outro, as pessoas nunca mais falavam da mesma maneira para as pessoas, começou a haver muita divisão entre nós todos. E foi terrível, foi um bocado complicado, porque nunca mais houve amizade em condições, porque as pessoas se queriam ter alguma coisa comigo, diziam, aquilo é do comunista, aquilo é socialista, aquilo é do PSD, aquilo é não sei o quê. Estavam sempre a apontar-nos como se aquilo fosse um mal terrível, isso mexeu com as pessoas e comigo principalmente, que não via isso de boa maneira, porque eu na altura era uma pessoa de esquerda e até quando me estabeleci, mesmo aí passado 5 anos, ainda notava que muitas pessoas olhavam para mim como se eu fosse um bicho de 7 cabeças.
So he started to say that he didn't notice a lot of families leaving. So he says maybe there were a few cases, but he didn't notice a lot of that. What he noticed, as he said, was the division that started between people because of the different political parties. So even when he set off his business, because he has a car mechanic business, and when he set off the business, he started the business, and some people didn't go there because because of his political party.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
and so
amazing.
in his opinion, that was hard for him because he realized that people were not one group anymore, but they were split into different kinds of
incredible.
Yeah.
Right. I think I may have Helena on the line now. Can you hear us, Helena? Yes.
Well, we can hear her.
We can hear her. We can't see her anymore, but we can hear you, Helena. Are you there?
Can she hear us?
So I think probably what we'll do, we can. That's great. Let us say thank you to Senor Carlos. so much for your insight, and then we'll see if we can speak to Helena.
Yes.
Muito obrigado.
We will see in the middle of our chaotic situation.
Indeed. Obrigado. Muito obrigado.
Obrigado. O Carl Manson está a dizer obrigado, Sr. Carlos.
And on behalf of all our listeners, thank you so much for your personal insight.
Foi prazer enorme estar com vocês. Bem-aja.
So he says it was a pleasure to be with us, and he thanks you as well.
Muito obrigado. Se precisarem
de alguma coisa, exponham que tenho uma história bonita da minha vida para vos contarem.
Pronto, isso é que a gente gosta. He says that when you...
Se eu vos contasse a história da minha vida, que vem de um descendente, que eu sou descendente de um padre.
De um padre? Oh, diabo!
É verdade. Foi perseguido pela Inquisição, onde a minha avó guardou uma fotografia da carisma do meu bisavô, tanto que o meu avô era filho de pai incógnito.
Bem, realmente temos aí uma história para mangas, não é? Dá pano para mangas.
Que isto dava para horas e horas de conversa.
So he says whenever he wants to speak about his life, because he says he's a descendant from a priest, and he has lots of the family history is a very complicated one.
Well, we will do that.
He says that it would be a very long story.
He's on the team. He's definitely on the team. Thank you so much. Muito obrigado.
Obrigada, Sr. Carlos.
Obrigado, eu.
Tchau. Obrigada.
Right, now let's see. We can't see her now. We've tried every combination. We can't see her, but I think we might be able to hear her. Are you there, Helena?
Helena?
Oh my goodness. Yes, we can hear you. So same questions, Filomena, while we've got her. The run-up, being a student, because Helena told us about this. She was a student. And wasn't especially political, but what was it like on that amazing day, this day, the 25th of April in 1974 for Helena? Come back to the camera, Helena, as well.
Oh, Helena, podes voltar à câmara se quiseres. A gente ouve-te num lado e vê-te no outro. Helena?
It's a struggle. It's a struggle for sure tonight, isn't it, with Helena?
Yeah, it is. Helena, consegues ouvir-nos?
Ouço perfeitamente.
Bom, nós agora também estamos a ouvir. Um bocadinho de atraso, se calhar, mas estamos a ouvir. Ouviste a pergunta do Carlos?
Porque é que vocês não me veem?
Não, porque agora o Carlos ligou-te no WhatsApp, acho eu.
Eu sei, eu estou no WhatsApp, então eu estou farta de fazer isto no WhatsApp, porque é que isto não dá. Pronto.
Ok, então vá.
Vá.
A pergunta, não ouviste?
O que é que ele perguntou? Ouvi mal.
She didn't listen to the question. So the question was about
Isso é longe.
O que, Helena? Não percebi.
Isso lá.
A pergunta era sobre... A pergunta era sobre o 20... Posso, Helena?
Sim.
Ok. Então a pergunta era sobre esse dia do dia 25 de Abril. Parece que já disseste que eras uma estudante na altura. E o que é que podes acrescentar?
Sim, eu já disse que era estudante universitária, eu estava no último ano da faculdade.
Queres falar em inglês? Queres tentar falar em inglês?
Não quero. Não quero, porque isso é muito complicado. Fala tu.
Sim.
Estava no último ano.
So she was attending the last year at the university.
Yeah.
E também já tinha dito que nessa altura, excetuando muito poucos estudantes universitários, e falo por Coimbra, nós não percebíamos sabíamos nada de política, porque não nos deixavam.
So she says that the students didn't understand anything about politics because they were not allowed to discuss politics. So they knew nothing about politics, absolutely nothing.
Nós não nos deixavam os nossos pais, não nos deixavam os nossos professores, e nós achávamos normal.
So their parents and their teachers wouldn't allow them to speak about politics.
Oh, wow. Okay.
E nós achávamos normal.
Andavam o quê?
Normal, fora. Nós achávamos.
Okay. They found it normal. They found it they found it as they found it was a normal situation for them because they didn't know anything else.
This is amazing. So a bit like Carlos then, you know, the world was created by the government and everyone lived in that and they didn't really know any different in many ways, apart from the politicized people, perhaps a minority of politicized people who wanted the... So what happened on the day? It must have been quite a surprise in that case then.
No dia soubemos portanto ainda estava no alojamento, soubemos pelo rádio que tinha havido uma revolução em Lisboa.
So they have heard.
Eu estava no alojamento de estudantes.
Okay.
They have heard on the radio that there had been a revolution in Lisbon, and she was in the student residence.
Wow.
Então todas nós éramos só rapazes, não é? Tivemos uma decisão, que foi arranjar-nos, vestir-nos e ir todos para a universidade. E isso foi para nós uma festa, porque nós, embora não percebêssemos política, sabíamos que havia coisas erradas. Sobretudo, eu já tinha dito isso ao Carlos, que todos nós sofríamos horrores por causa da guerra colonial. Vai traduzir.
Okay, so she said that when they heard on the radio that there had been a revolution, all the girls, because of course it was a residence for girls, and so all the girls decided to dress up and go to the university and celebrate, because they although they didn't understand a lot about politics, they knew that lots of things were wrong. Namely the war in Africa, right? So they knew that something was wrong, and so they realized that they should celebrate the revolution.
Amazing. And then the years after that, how did life change in those next few years? How was it for Helena?
Ouviste, Helena?
Em Coimbra, eu percebi, em Coimbra as coisas eram um bocadinho diferentes do que em Lisboa e no Porto, que eram os três grandes polos universitários. Eu falar lentamente.
Okay, so she's saying that in Coimbra it was a bit different from the situation in Lisbon and in Porto, the three universities, Lisbon, Porto, and Coimbra. But she says in Coimbra it was a bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the experience of Carlos.
Era uma grande diferença no sentido positivo. Em Coimbra havia um ambiente muito mais cordial entre os professores e os alunos, e a polícia política, a PIR, é que estragava aquilo tudo, porque estavam-nos a perseguir.
Porque, desculpa?
A PID estragava o ambiente em Coimbra, porque nos andavam sempre a perseguir em todas as ocasiões e nós tínhamos que fugir deles.
Okay, so she says that in Coimbra, the atmosphere was a lot better, she says, in a positive way, was different from Lisbon and Porto, but the political police was always after them, always chasing them to control them. So she says that they spoiled every good environment that they had in the university.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. And what does...
Repara, Filomena, portanto, a polícia política tratava os estudantes de Coimbra, e é preciso ver que eu entrei no Bosque de 79 como tratavam os de Lisboa e do Porto, e nós éramos diferentes. Coimbra era completamente diferente. Todo o ambiente em Coimbra não tinha nada a ver com o Porto com Lisboa. Agora, também havia muitos rebeldes dentro dos estudantes. Mas eu posso dizer que na época do 25 de Abril, a Faculdade de Física, em frente às medicinas antigas, que tu conheces, era o quartel-general da Polícia de Choque, que estava lá sempre no período da aula, com as G3 apontadas para o passeio e nós passávamos à frente. Isto antes do 25
So she's saying that before the revolution, let's see if I remember everything. So she says that before the revolution, one of the faculties there was the headquarters of the police, and they were there with the guns, and so the G3. And so they were always, scaring them, the students, so to have them under control.
Incredible, incredible. And a final question.
Ao cimo das escadas monumentais estavam parados os carros dos pisos que nós conhecíamos. E então, isto foi para chegar ao dia 25 de Abril. Fomos para a universidade, mas era preciso enquadrar. Fomos todos para as nossas faculdades e alguém disse, a PIDE está cercado. Fomos todos para a PIDE e então a grande celebração foi ver dar cabo dos carros dos PIDE que a gente conhecia.
Dar cabo dos carros?
O 25 de Abril já estava farta deles.
So she says that when they went to celebrate the revolution, I think that she said that the one way of celebrating was because they knew the cars from the police, and then they destroyed the cars.
Did they really?
Yes.
Wow.
They went to destroy. This is what I understood, because
That's amazing.
she's breaking up all the time, and
You're
sometimes
doing an
I don't
amazing
understand
job,
the whole
Filomena.
sentence.
You're doing an amazing job here tonight, and you have. So what that's amazing, Helena. So you were guilty of some vandalism of police cars, of secret police cars. And can I ask you then the same question that we asked Senor Carlos about, politics today? What does Helena think of politics? Okay,
Helena, olha, ouve agora a pergunta do Carlos, faz favor.
So now, thank you for your insight. It's amazing being a student in Coimbra in 1974, and the games that were played between the secret police and the young women students there. Fast forward to this age that we're in now, Helena, and the political times. We saw. I think that Senor Carlos wasn't exactly happy with current politics, and certainly what happened after the revolution. What's your view, Helena, of then and now, if you like, the contrast and the comparison?
A comparação antes e depois, foi isso, Helena?
Sim.
Pronto. Então, eu ouvi alguma coisa que disse o Sr. Carlos. Ele tem razão em algumas coisas, noutras, pronto. Mas o que é que acontece? Acontece que quem era, as pessoas todas que eram naquela fase, naquela pesquisa, remediaram, ficaram na mesma. Depois, o que é que aconteceu? As condições de trabalho começaram a ser menos escravizantes e com direitos. Acontece que isto o que é que traz? Com a entrada dos sindicatos, ver as coisas. O que trouxe foi aquilo que disse o Sr. Carlos. Foi ter deixado, desumanizado um bocado as relações laborais. Entende?
Vou tentar, porque eu não consigo ouvir tudo o que tu dizes, mas ok, vou tentar. So, I'm going to try. I'm going to try.
Yes.
So she said that in some aspects, Carlos Lourenco was right, and she doesn't agree with some aspects. But she says that the ones that were well off, you know, the ones that were not very rich, the situation was basically the same. She said.
Yes. Yes.
But there was a division, as Carlos Lourenco said. There was a division that was in terms of labor relationships, on work relationships. There was a bit of a dehumanized relationship. It started to be an unhuman relationship. She says.
Incredible. Incredible. Could you give Helena?
Mas por outro lado, os operários, aqueles que eram operários de empresas, tiveram a vantagem por causa de não serem tão escravos do trabalho e terem direitos.
I think that she said that the ones who worked as employees I think they started to have more rights then.
Yeah.
Não,
Incredible.
não é mais, é direitos.
Well, they started to have rights because they didn't have it.
So, and of course, women were able to travel without the permission of their husband. Is that right as well?
Yes, that is right.
A revolução teve aspectos muito positivos, mas também trouxe uma diversificação da luta sindical, não é da luta, é dos sindicatos existentes, que foi demasiado.
So she says the revolution, the revolution had some, of course, good aspect, but there was also a diversity that there wasn't before, right?
Incredible.
After the revolution.
Yes, something that I didn't expect to hear.
And you were speaking about the women, and yes, the women, for example, and I have spoken to Helena a few days ago about this. For example, the teachers. Because Helena and I, we are both teachers. Well, she was a teacher because she is retired now. But as a teacher, for example, if a teacher wanted, if a woman being a teacher, if she wanted to get married, she had to ask for permission to the government. Get married to the government.
Wow.
So the government would analyze. Desculpa.
Além de pedir para casar, tinha que pedir para usar o nome do marido.
Yeah, and besides asking for permission to marry, they would also have the allowance from the government to use the husband's name as well.
Incredible. Helena, we're beginning to run out of time here, but she's just getting into her stride, isn't she?
She's a teacher. A teacher keeps on and on and on.
Helena, thank you so much. Muito prazer, muito obrigado. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry it was so difficult. I'm sorry it was so difficult.
It's a pity that the program had all these problems on the way, but I think we at least we spoke a little bit about the revolution.
Filomena, don't go anywhere because there are questions for you. But Helena, thank you so much. Muito prazer, muito obrigado e boa noite.
Adeus, Helena. Boas férias.
Boas férias. Yes. I think Portuguese people. Ciao. Portuguese people are probably just getting ready to go out and celebrate now, aren't they? Of course, Filomena. And here we are with our special for the Carnation Revolution. It's been fraught with difficulties, but nothing compared to the troubles people went through in 1950.
Nothing. But it was a bit hard today.
It was hard work. We're not used to this, are we? With it being so difficult. But Helena, Filomena, people were asking. It was a question we had from Annie, who's here tonight. can we hear of Filomena's memories? She was too young. She was too young.
Well, yes, I was a bit young. I don't have a lot of memories. The only memories I have are, for example, the return of my cousin, who was a soldier in Africa, in Guinea-Bissau. And I remember when he came back and we celebrated with the decorations. We decorated the street and everything.
Oh,
and we went to Lisbon. I remember the big ship arriving. And I remember that we celebrated a lot because he came alive. That was a very good reason to celebrate that.
Yes.
We got him alive.
And a homecoming to Miranda de Corvo.
Yes.
Incredible.
That is the strongest memory that I have. You know, the biggest moment that I recall was the welcoming my cousin back home.
Yes. And are you okay for a few more minutes as we take a few more of these comments on the screen?
Yes, I can. I have Annie and we are going to be in the same place rehearsing for our marches in June.
Oh, okay. I'll be as quick as I can.
I can. Yes, I can answer, and then I'll start the practice. No problem.
Tough years to live through, says Squire of the Shires. Oil embargoes, increased consumer costs, high inflation, and companies collapsing, maybe a bit like today's global climate, and corporate governance strategies. Quite incredible. Yeah, the mirror of history. The brave and courageous people push back against the inequalities, bringing about governmental restructuring and labour reforms. Thank you for that. I heard that they would refer to Benfica as Os de Rosas, the Pinks, because Salazar didn't want any association with the colour red vermelho. Have you heard that before, Filomena?
I don't know about that.
Right.
But probably he wouldn't have he wouldn't want an association with the color red, probably. I don't know.
And he wasn't overthrown, was he, in '74, because it was Caetano who became the president?
No, he had fallen off a chair.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, he had fallen off a chair before. And so even when he was very, very ill, and he still thought that he was the head of the state. He still thought that he was, the dictator, as always.
Yes.
Although, of course, he was not able to decide anything anymore.
That's what I heard. They printed him his own special newspapers to make him look like
yes. He believed that everything was, going on as normal for him.
Incredible. Yeah. I imagine Mrs. M will do that for me one day. But Cantoneda from Paul Harrison, hi Paul, and Antonio F. Between 74 and 76, there was a very unstable political situation. Yeah, I think there were further coups, weren't there? And it was also difficult in economic terms, as we've heard there from the Squire of the Shires.
And as Carlos Lourenco said, the political parties started, and of course, with the political parties, they were not one group anymore, but they were several groups. So
it's incredible, isn't it?
It's natural to have a bit of instability.
Of course, and there's your democracy for you right there. The revolution shaped my dad's political views, and he's been a supporter of the Portuguese Socialist Party, PSP, since, and they were in the Azores at the time of the revolution. Now, Eurico, have I got that right, please?
Eurico.
We're getting there. Senor Motta. Hello, Carl and friends. Thank you for the invitation. Arrived a little while ago and was unable to participate. You can read my email. The email is 2 recommendations of movies, which I'll pass on to you. Thank you, Eurico, for this. I take the liberty of sending you 2 feature films on this special day for the Portuguese. Honestly, I think I'm contributing to knowing a little bit more about our temperament. One of the films focuses on a little of our history from the perspective of the setbacks that have arisen in our history, so no problem. In the second film, a romanticized version with some playfulness of the events of the day of the revolution, which is celebrated today. Too bad. Sending you this material very close to your program would add to your knowledge. I will look at these in retrospect, and as I think others will here. So the first of them is going into the chat now, and this is the film with what does it say here? We have the history of Portugal as told by Lieutenant Cabrita to the men in his company in the middle of the colonial war. So that's one of them. And the other, that film is No Vai Gloria de Mandar And Capitais de Abril is the second film, and that's going into the chat now as well. So there's some education for you there. Oh, sorry, I mistyped that. Let me just do that one more time and give you that second movie into the chat now.
You are improving your pronunciation, Carl. Carlitos,
thank you very much. Oh, it was worth it just to hear those words tonight. Thank you. And Mr. Carlos Lourenco, did he do the overseas war? If so, there's a lot to tell. He was quite quiet about his time in Angola.
Yes, well, also because he doesn't understand any English, it was a bit hard for him to realize what was going on in the program. But yes, he was in Angola, as he said. He fought in Angola.
Yes, Alan's here from San Diego. Good evening to you, Alan. I hope it's been useful to you tonight, this insight into a real Portuguese experience. Power to Helena. This is funny. Damaging the peed police cars. I think Tony quite appreciated that. The Ancient Mariner is here. And now, says Doug, husbands aren't allowed to travel without female police. That is not true, Doug, and you know it. You're always over here. I'm very grateful for hearing the events. Thank you to Carlos, Helena, and Filomena. Yes, despite all the technical problems, we had some marvelous.
Yes, we had lots of problems, but we tried our best.
And we had some great moments. It was really good. Thank you, Filomena, for organising it. In the case of a female teacher, the future husband had to be vetted by the government as well.
Yes.
I promise not to discuss US politics. You're always welcome, Ubi. Or how Orange Ursula's fascist death cult, love burning books, worshipping dictators, inciting insurrection or inspiring stochastic violence. Well, thank you for not doing that, but mentioning it nonetheless. Good to spend this evening with you guys, says Doug. And this time next year, we'll all be celebrating 50 years.
Yes, 50.
How will it be, do you think, next year with the 50th celebrations, Filomena? Is the country really going to push the boat out next year?
Well, I think they might have some special celebration because, after all, 50 years are 50 years, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. But we have an interesting year ahead, don't we, politically? The global situation, the national situation. It's not the easiest of situations for whichever government is in power to celebrate 50 years, because they'll be under the spotlight, won't they themselves at this time?
Yeah, well, they have a committee already for a couple of years that they should be in charge of the celebration. So I don't know what they have prepared already, but.
Well, I'm sure we'll have room for complaint as well as compliment next year. We made bolinhas in my Portuguese class last night. Saboroso, very good, Ubi.
Muito bem, muito bem.
Thanks, Carl. Aqui pensa a nossa professora dos filmes que indica. What do you think of his movies selections there, Filomena?
Well, I have to say that I'm not very much into movies, so
okay, all right.
I don't usually have time, and I'm not very fond of cinema in general, so I have nothing to say. I'm sorry.
I will give you a review of those. Obrigado. Really appreciative of their perspectives and experiences, says Christina, who's left us now. Can anyone comment from the point of view of Portuguese who were not military but had to flee the colonies, Angola and Mozambique, after the handover of the colonies? Lots of people suffered. Mm-hmm. Of course, it must have been an incredible upheaval.
Yes, I know lots of people. I know lots of people who had to come to the mainland, to Portugal, after the independence of Angola and Mozambique, and it was a very hard situation, but they don't want to talk about it.
No, fair enough, and that's entirely understandable, isn't it? Ubi says he meant to say brigadeiros, the little chocolate balls. Brigadeiros can be a chocolate cake of many shapes, I think, can't it? So it was bolinhas in this case for Ubi. Portuguese and Brazilian are very confusing to me. Don't start. This is very interesting, says Nubina. Motivation to study. It was great to hear people speaking Portuguese as well, Filomena. I was picking things up. So it was really good from that point of view. And you did such a beautiful job. So thank you. Motivation to study more of the recent history of Portugal. This is important if you plan on moving to a new country. Thank you. A pleasure. Usually can't make live streams because of time difference. We'll be back in Spain in 2 weeks. Alan, see you then. And I think I'm going to be on Spain Speaks with Stuart. Hola, que tal, amigos? Soon. So, Filomena, I'd like to thank you again for doing such a fantastic job under such difficult circumstances. But you're a teacher. You've had one or two awkward situations to contend with, I suspect, in the classroom, and you were fantastic tonight. You're a trooper. And thank you for bringing your friends and acquaintances into this space of ours here, such that we can learn. Yeah, so thank you so much.
Helena, so Helena now she's retired, as I said, and she used to teach maths and science at school. And Carlos Lourenco is a car mechanic, as I said. He has his own business here in Miranda do Corvo, district of Coimbra.
Okay, and I think you've got a special mission now, haven't you? There's a special.
Well, I have two missions because it's my daughter's birthday today.
Oh, bada bing.
So I think I still have some cake to eat.
Good. And she makes cakes, doesn't she? She's a fabulous cake maker herself.
Yes,
Hopefully
she is.
Someone else did it.
And then Casa do Povo. Casa do Povo is the people's house in terms of culture and sports and everything in Miranda do Corvo. We are preparing our marches populares for June the 17th. Good. We are going to have the show on the 17th of June. So we have to rehearse, and we are 40 people, 20 men, 20 women. Equal rights.
Incredible. There you go. There's a bit more of the sign of the times and how things have changed. And
20 men and 20 women.
Not one of those women had to ask for the permission of their husbands or the government to be there tonight.
No.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So one more time, we'll listen to the because the thirst for freedom overcame all fears, and we thank you one more time.
Yes, that's a very, very good sentence.
I love it. And Filomena, have a lovely evening. Thank you for being here and educating and enlightening us this evening.
Ok, então o resto de bom feriado e até à próxima. See you next time.
Até a próxima. Até logo. Tchau, tchau. Bye for now. Cheers, Filomena.
Bye.
On the 25th of April, the MFA announced that the people should remain at home because they feared armed confrontations on the street. But the Portuguese population clearly disobeyed the military orders to stay at home because the thirst for freedom overcame all fears. And so people took the streets to the thousands and supported the military coup to force the resignation of the leader of the regime. The people brought red carnations and distributed them to the soldiers, who stuck them in their rifle barrels, making the flower the symbol of the revolution. The revolutionary process of 74 and 75 was one of the liveliest experiences in Portuguese history. In 19 months, there were 2 failed coups, 6 provisional governments, the process of independence of the colony, several mass strike waves, demonstrations, occupations of thousands of houses, a profound agricultural reform, occupations of land, the creation of workers' cooperatives, workers' councils, trade unions, neighborhood commissions, self-managed factories, businesses, offices, newspapers, and radios. Because the thirst for freedom overcame all fears.